Hello and welcome to another edition of the Moving Iron Podcast. This podcast is proudly provided by Axon, helping dealers move more iron for almost 100 years. Find out more at axontire.com. Axon was started almost 100 years ago out of a passion for keeping agriculture moving. It's that same passion that drives them today. With a vision for a better experience for both farmer and dealer, they set out to create a better way to move more iron. When you partner with Axon, you get immediate access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. Axon carries all major brands and sizes of tires, wheels, and tracks. From custom colors and sizes to fully customized wheels, you can have the solution for virtually any problem today's farmer is trying to solve. To find more or become an Axon dealer, please visit axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley has over 33 years in the trucking business, moving ag and construction equipment across the country. For more information, go to valleytransinc.com or give Parker a call at 800-657-4910. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 242. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. Also, this is last week for it, Aaron, and I can't imagine a better week for it based on the weather that we've had here over the last couple days. But when it's snowing outside and I want to have a snowball fight with my wife that doesn't return any fire, I like a good pair of gloves.
Oh, absolutely.
All right? So if you wanted a good pair of gloves.
Because you hit her once, you won, but you need gloves to keep your hands warm as you throw 20.
That's right. That's right. It's volley of fire. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You just lay down a little cover fire and just cover and move, right? But if you want some gloves from them, Axon will send you a pair of gloves if you go to marketing at axontire.com.
Right.
Send me an email, send you a good one. Last week for it though, folks. So if you want it, last week as
get on it.
First week of January. So after this week's over with, the chance for you to get a pair of deerskin gloves is over.
Okay. There you go.
So, also, this podcast is brought to you by Valley Transportation, which has been moving farm and construction equipment for the last 33 years. To book more freight with Parker, call 1-800-657-4910 at Valley Transportation. Our goal is to help you reach yours. And last but not least, the folks at Ag Direct want to let you know that if you want to buy a piece of farm equipment, whether it's from a dealer, an auction, or an end user, go to agdirect.com and you can fill out a nice little, what's the word I'm looking for? App. Yes. An app. No, I couldn't say that. Fill out an app, and with that app, you can do that right there online, and you can see all your finance options right there. So, Ag Direct's good folks there. Make sure you check them out at agdirect.com. So, Aaron Fennell, the official co-host of the Moving Iron Podcast, is back with me here today.
Thank you.
It's been a long road to hoe. I know you've had to.
Oh man,
you've had a lot of nights where you got hazed and everything else, but you finally made it.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
So.
I am thrilled. Can't wait for the gold jacket.
44 long, Pat.
The left is just a little bit longer.
They had no real big announcements came out this week of any kind.
No.
Nobody really announced anything that's going to change the way anything happens at all.
No. Not at my place.
Now, Deere rolled out their announcement of their fully autonomous option that they're going to have on their 8R tractor.
Yep.
And it's a topic that you and I talk about quite a bit, and we have widely varying opinions of
absolutely
of what it is and isn't, and what that looks like. And I thought it would be fitting to revisit that and kind of talk about that a little bit, and just kind of talk about a little bit as to what my opinion of what the future is going to start to look like. And get your opinion what it starts to look like, and we'll kind of have a conversation from there. So Deere rolls out the 8R tractor with the autonomous options on it, and Still tractor, still the same tractor you'd see anywhere else.
Yep.
You can still get
Has
it
a
and
cab,
drive it.
has a seat.
Yeah, you can still drive it, do everything else you want to, but they've actually opened that up wildly broader than what you've seen other people come to play with, right? So, they talk about doing tillage work, they've talked about playing work, they've talked about all these different things, aspects of it that's not just centered around like a grain cart example for like the smart ag type of approach that they had. It's a broader spectrum of farming, right? It's everything that you can do in farming except for the,
Roading,
right? I mean, it's just that way. So, I've been giving this a lot of thought since that came out and kind of what I think is going to happen now and what that looks like. Obviously, not everybody's going to rush out and go, oh, God, I want to get the self-driving tractor thing, There's going to be some cool factor that comes into play that people are going to be drawn to that a little bit. But I think the overarching kind of theme of what this whole deal looks like to me is that the next 5 years of the equipment business is going to have a different flavor to it. And it's going to, that flavor is going to just slowly, that palette is going to change a little bit at a time. You're going to go from...
So I'm not going to make it to 70 like I planned.
No.
I got 5 years and I got to punch out, man.
But I think...
Damn it!
What I keep circling back to on this is that as more of these machines become... Even if they have cabs on them, right? The option thing is going to start to be something that is not such a big deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like you're gonna have a milk crate for a chair, in the side of it, But I'm saying like, there are gonna be more guys that are gonna start looking at, do I really need ILS?
Right.
Do I really need suspended cab? Do I really need?
You sure don't need a massaging leather seat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so it's
you do have you got to road it.
You do have to road it.
That's ILS and suspended cab and seat. That's where that really shines.
Yep, and that's going to be. I think that might be the limiting factor in some of these, operations. As you start to look at them, is how condensed is their farm operation? How condensed is it versus how far out are you roading? How much road time are you actually putting on these machines, right?
Right.
If you're a guy that farms, 5,000 acres, and all 5,000 acres are right there, contiguously right there,
no ILS.
It makes a hell of a lot of sense, right?
Right.
If you find
I can drive that tractor 3 miles from one end to the furthest end.
Right. Now, if you had that same setup, you farm 5,000 acres, and you're scattered across the county, then you start looking at, it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit, because you got to road it there, and you got to do this, you got to do that, da-da-da. You can make the argument that, you just need a guy to road these tractors around and put them where they need to go and make sure they got fuel in them and so on and so forth. But I think it's more, the more, condensed the farming operation is in a footprint perspective, the more this makes sense and the more that these kind of options are going to start showing up. So, we think about it all the time. We start thinking about, the flow of equipment and the natural flow from the north to the south and what that looks like and how the higher spec machines typically come from, the I-states and Minnesota and North Dakota and Ohio.
Corn Belt.
And that, right where the real thick of the Corn Belt is, right? And those options make their way down south because mostly down south, you get a lot of straight front axle tractors. And you get a lot of those kind of things.
That's because you have far less owner-operator.
Exactly.
Case in point.
That's exactly
Case in point.
Right.
So that hits the Corn Belt.
Yeah. So what I guess what I keep circling back to on this is that when you start having these conversations 5 years from now or whatever the number is, whatever that time frame looks like, when is that first conversation the guy has with he's like, I really don't need to have, up until then, it's been 6 rows, high flow, blah, 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 which all that stuff will stay the same, right? But, I would love to have, I really don't need the heated floor mats anymore. I don't need to have the premium radio. I don't need to have, the fridge.
The fridge.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't need a subwoofer.
Yeah. Like one of those real creature features start to kind of fade their way out of that spectrum. And what's that look like? And then what does that do to the overarching conversation you start having about used equipment values? And I made up a word. It's going to get in the dictionary. I feel good about this. Sent it off to Webster. It's the widgetification of tractors, right?
There it is.
So it's a widget now, right? And not right now, but I mean, as things progress and things become,
It's a tool.
it's a tool. It's all it is, man. I need it to go from A to B and do C and D. That's all I need to do. It's going to be an interesting kind of voyage as to what does this look like. And then the other side of that too is how long does the cab stay on the tractor?
Ugh.
You know what I mean?
Stop.
At what point does that happen? You know what I mean? And that's
At some point, it'll have a steering wheel and that old springy steel pan, like an H or an M, you know,
right, yeah,
just in case you have to jump up there.
yep, and that'll be. So I've given that a lot. I've been thinking about that a lot, and what does that look like, and when does that have, and when's kind of really everything, powertrain and hydraulics, and then everything else is kind of the same. At what point down the road does that happen? And to me, I don't, I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about, this is the downfall of the family farm and those kind of things and what that looks like. And, obviously the bigs are going to have an opportunity to step into this and do those kind of things. But at the same time, if you are a 40-something farmer, and even in your 50s, and you may or may not have anybody coming back to the farm, but you still got a solid 15 or 20 years left to make this work so you can retire and do your thing,
Yep.
There's as much opportunity for that person to take advantage of this technology and grow their operation, because now there's not that farm labor situation that we talk about every single year.
Right.
Every single year. Lack of farm labor, lack of farm labor, lack of farm labor, lack of farm. And now, here you go, all of a sudden, the guy that was relying on trying to find some local help to come and do whatever, and he was having a hard time doing that, and it was, all of a sudden, I can run 3 or 4 tractors from my phone.
Oh man.
And I can make it work.
Oh man, I don't get it. I just don't.
Don't get what? Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's people listening to this right now and like, oh, Casey hates the idea of having a tractor with a cab, and that's not true at all, right? That's not what I'm getting at all. There's still going to be that somebody's going to get in there. Like, you ever watched the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, and he's fighting.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that won't. Even though he's got a robot arm, he won't adapt to technology.
Right.
And he's going down the road and he wants to drive his own car, right? And everybody else around him just doing their own thing. There's still going to be days the guy's like, see if I still got it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And he'll flip on the auto steer and he'll be sitting in the cab doing his thing.
What is he seeing if I still got it then? If I can sit in the seat all day?
Yes.
I thought you meant he was going to at least drive the damn thing.
They don't. Why would they? That.
Oh my God! You said, see if I still got it.
See if I still got
sit
it.
in the seat.
I'm gonna go 20 hours a day and see if I can make this work. Just like the old days. That'll happen.
No. Like the old days, go get in that Soundguard cab and drive the damn thing for 18 hours. That is seeing if you still got it.
We're talking about a future conversation here.
I know.
Where the guys.
Do you think those? Okay, so
an 8R
drives
first 8R,
an 8R drives itself. Poof! All the sound guards evaporated overnight.
No,
everybody still has one.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. Go drive the damn thing out in the field. Drive it.
Yeah.
Sit in that little owl cage box
With your easy steer.
God bless, man. So obviously, audience, I'm not a fan of the autonomy stuff. And here's my thing.
You're a fan of it. You're an old school guy.
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
I can see if you're a big and you are literally the guy who writes the checks and you spend a couple hours a year in a cab, right up your alley. I get it. Totally get it. You know who else I see? I see it in that there's always those guys that they just cannot get enough tech, but they're like a 3,000 acre dude. You know, those guys, I could see them being like, okay, now while that thing's going back and forth, I can do this other, take on the world with ones and zeros and go at it.
I can mark up my crop. I can build my marketing plan. I can do all these things. I can forward contract whatever,
Right. December almonds.
Exactly. These nuts, you know what I mean?
There it is. But and to me, and this is why I cannot fathom that, of everything there is to do on the farm. And I'm a tractor geek, machinery, total machinery nerd. We know this. But of all the things there is to do on the farm, every little single job there is, why on earth are they trying to take away the only thing that's fun, and that's driving the shit?
That takes the most.
Build a robot who's going to fix the tractor, who's going to work on the planter, who's going to go milk. I know they have robotic milker, but I mean like gather them up, give me a robot. Speaking of iRobot, that's my rebuttal. I can drive it. If I don't want to drive it, robot, go.
Well, that's what you have now. But it's got somewhere between
it does
4 and 6 wheels. 4 and 8 wheels.
But that's my thing. Like when we talked about this one time, that's always my argument. You want to make something autonomous? Make the crap job autonomous. I want a sweep auger that goes through the bin and sweeps, and it's vacuumed out and it's perfectly spotless. Do that. And I don't have to get in the bin.
I'm sure they have that.
They don't have that.
Someone somewhere is working on that very thing that you're just talking about.
Let's hope they are.
Because it all comes down to that all of this autonomous stuff that we're talking about here is all driven by farm labor.
Oh, I know. I totally understand that.
So to your point is why are they doing it to a tractor? If you have, depending on your farming operation, I mean, some guys come in and they till and then they go right in back behind that with the planting, and then they're all one pass. They don't do fall tillage and then come in the
right and no-till guys.
Yeah,
spray, plant, spray, harvest.
So if you're depending on the size of your operation, those kind of things. But just say you have one tractor that's planting at the same time, one tractor that's doing tillage work or strip tilling or whatever it is that they're doing, and you can't find someone to come work for you, and you're not going to bring him from Mexico or South Africa or wherever to come do what you're doing, then all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 tractors that are doing 2 or 3 different jobs out there, and you've got 2 people doing them. You have 3 tractors that have to be working. You've got 2 employees, you and somebody else.
Oh, right.
So what are you going to do?
I get
What surprises me about this is that I really honestly thought when this rolled out that they would use leader-follower technology where one tractor or a combine or whatever else was controlling the unit.
Right.
So like you go out and you go and
something else had to be manned within the geofence.
Right. So you'd have
how do you like that lingo?
Geofence, nice. I would have thought you'd have like one tractor and you would have another tractor that was you're tilling. Mm-hmm. One tractor you're controlling the one tractor here. The other tractor's controlling the other tractor.
You're in the planter, but you're controlling the field cultivator.
Right. Exactly. Yep. And you're doing it's just based on a GPS signal from. I really thought that's what the introduction to autonomous was going to be, but it's not. It is. Well, let me know when you're out of gas.
But okay, what?
Or fuel. I'm sorry, diesel.
What happens when the implement breaks down?
Right.
What happens? You're strip tilling. You jack up a shank. Sorry to the Easterners, but you shear bolt. You break a shear bolt.
Yeah.
And how?
So I mean, I'm sure that is another level of that. There's going to be you're going to be monitoring what you're doing. I mean, it's just you're going to see all those things and how.
You know what's interesting? I did see on television where they said that will be retrofittable too. You don't have to go buy a new 8R to get that. You can put it on your tractor.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to an open station 4020 with that on there. I can't wait to rake hay. Watch that tractor rake hay, mind you.
Yeah.
That is what I need. See, they need this like in the entry level world. Like figure out how to. That's where the robot. See, just like your farm labor, robot.
So you remember
how many robots you got? I got 6.
So you remember in coming out of the 20 series tractor into the 30 series,
the 8000. Yeah, the later 20s.
How important the steering valve was.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
That was a big deal, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, a steering valve, that's $5,000.
Well, yeah. and trading for 20s.
Yeah.
20s and 10s.
Yeah. Say this is going to be a similar concept to that.
I get it.
There's going to be whatever it is that you have to hook this into to make it do whatever. On the older tractors, it's going to, does it got the wiring harness?
Right. You got to make it Green Star ready first.
Is it got the right wiring harness? No, I don't know. That's going to mean it's a whole thing now. You know what I mean? That's going to be a thing that people are going to pay attention to. You know?
Yeah, I get it. To
me, this is a complete game changer in the way they have. And then it also leads you back to the other thing I've been thinking about of when you sit and think about, you know, like machinery link.
Okay.
You know, on paper, what they had was 1,000% awesome.
It was perfect.
It was a perfect model.
Absolutely.
The only thing they never factored into was logistics,
weather,
and everything else. I mean, all these other things that come into play. Their thing was we're gonna be the what was that called? The combine crew that started the whole wheat run back in World War II.
Oh, the Harvest Brigade.
Harvest Brigade.
What brand of combine was that, my friend?
That was Massey Harris.
Absolutely,
yeah.
21As.
Yep, and they had. That's in their mind. We're going to be the Harvest Brigade now. We're just going to, but only thing we're doing is we're not going to run them from Texas to Canada. We're going to, you get your head and we're going to drop the machine off.
You run your combine.
So now that same thing right now has got to be going through someone's head, going like, all right, cool. So this is it's a full-on production thing, right? We got this thing that we can go out and utilize and use as this concept grows and morphs into whatever it does into.
Right.
If you have enough machines out there, because the limiting factor on any stuff like machine learning stuff was people, right?
Yeah.
Human capital to operate the machines and do those kind of things. If you had, you didn't have to worry about that, and you get to start in Texas and conditions are perfect. Time you get to Oklahoma, they have one of those springs where they've got 15 inches of rain. You can't do anything for 30 days.
South Dakota burned up.
Yep. And you had to jump to Kansas. And by the time you get done with Kansas, Oklahoma and Nebraska now are ready.
Yep. Well, South Dakota's ready.
So you really don't have your issue now is, well, I'll take a platoon of these machines back down to Oklahoma and we'll knock it out. And because now we got other issues at Oklahoma because they're quality issues and everything else you got run into. But I can take a platoon of these machines down there and they can start working. Done with Kansas, I can take the majority of my stuff up to Nebraska where I'm ready to start getting high quality wheat again. That's the kind of stuff.
That's what we do, baby.
So now you start looking at it from that perspective, that the weather thing is not really that big of a deal anymore because as soon as it's ready to go,
you don't have to be
there. You don't have to be there. Yeah. Right? The harvest crew doesn't have to come back from South Dakota to go cut wheat in Oklahoma. Northern Oklahoma, southern Kansas.
But that's what I'm getting. Okay, let's hear the wheat combine thing.
Right.
Where does autonomy fix the having to leapfrog states and machines and all that shit like they run into?
Because you'll have more machines than you have people. It's not a big deal anymore. All you have to do is have the logistics to get that machine back to where it needs to go.
Oh.
You don't have to have the harvest crew wait.
What you're saying is you could be 10 years from now, drop off 780 in Blackwell, Oklahoma.
Right.
Hit start.
Yep, and it goes and does its thing. It's already the geo fenced out there already.
Right.
You know exactly where you need to go, and it's going to go out and do its thing. But there's 20 of them down there doing that.
I get it.
So now, all of a sudden,
But they're not 2780s. They're like 20 of the old 55s.
well, of that size,
Right. That capacity
Right.
because you can haul it on a car trailer.
you can put 6 of them on a trailer,
Right.
like those little
That's
Kincaid,
way into the future thing. This isn't the 5 years from now deal.
those Kincaid test plot combines.
Yes, absolutely. Hell yeah. Pull that up on the gooseneck.
But something like that. I mean, so all of a sudden now, it's not a thing. It's not the
Right.
issue. Isn't
But
getting.
that's a long ways. I mean,
I don't think it's that far away, man.
with harvesting and all that.
I don't think it's that far away. You can't tell me that if they've got this figured out to where you can have a truck.
They're going to have that
disc itself.
combine know it got full, drive to a truck. By the way, you still got to get the shit to town.
But you have all these tractors running around that are doing all this stuff. You still, I mean, until they have autonomous tractor trailers, I mean, yeah, you got to have people driving the trucks and stuff like that around back and forth. But
Didn't I see that on TV?
oh, sure, yeah,
Like
there's-
Volvo had a semi drive 70 miles or something?
Yeah.
Completely by itself?
Yep. There's a system out there on trucks right now that I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to look it up. But you can put the system on the truck, and not only does it drive itself around, it also books its own freight.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, it does its own maintenance, schedules its own maintenance, and
I
everything.
think you fabricated that.
No.
I didn't know you were such a good welder.
But they had
But you know what's cooler than that?
What?
That GMC Denali that steers itself, because you still get to be part of it.
Yeah.
You just don't have to worry about that. Think how much shit you can get done.
and you can go
Yeah,
while you're driving down the road for no apparent reason.
absolutely.
And but they have. To me, that's where this is going, and I don't think it's that. I think the 20-year thing that we hear people talk about in 20 years, I think that'll be the tractor done here and it knows it needs to go to Finnell number 23 and go over there and knock
And it
that
just
one out.
does its own
It
thing
just does it.
all the time.
You like preload it in the morning, like, okay, here's your jobs, and you just go, and then you know.
I
you
wish
come
I
back.
wish we were on video, because Casey literally just inserted something,
Inserted it, Yep.
and we all know that literally 20 years ago the internet was invented,
Yep.
and you could just shoot it right to that thing.
Yes, but it's like it's a.
But
punch
I
card.
like that you still use a floppy disk.
It's
in
the old
it.
punch card. You put it in there, so that you know what you got. But they had. But to me, I think that's where this is going. I think this is just the beginning of this, and I think what they have here is you have the best of both worlds, right? You can, as an operator, go out and buy the high spec machine and put this on there, and you got the guy. You've now captured every market you could capture. You got the guy that wants the first gen used, autonomous thing with the high specs, because I still want to drive my shit.
Right.
I'm still gonna do my thing. As that progresses down, and as things start to change, I've just in my mind, I see specs. Just
Dude, I could see
Yeah,
I could
you know.
see that. It makes me throw up in my mouth, but you could have a day where, hope it's after I'm gone, but you could have a day where ILS is a detriment.
yeah, because it's too expensive.
Right. I don't want to have to fix
Or-
that. I don't sit in there.
Or it's one of those things like you put on there,
Oh,
and it
my
has.
heart be still.
It's like one of those things you put on there that it's a whatever it is, $15,000 option or
Right.
whatever, and it goes to the used marketplace and it's like zero value.
Right.
Guy's like, oh, it's cool. It's gonna help my compaction issue in field number 2, but I'll just rip a little more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
So it's a
I
weird.
don't like any part of this conversation at all. There is nothing
wild.
in this that excites me at all.
Yeah, it's a.
But it's the world we're in, man.
And
It's not going to be any detriment to the family farm,
No.
whatsoever.
I wish Twitter and Facebook and all those things would have been around in the capacity that they are now. When AutoTrack came out in '99 or 2000,
Yeah,
whatever that was.
late '90s.
Yeah, could you imagine those? I mean, those conversations back then were like, "This is a complete waste of money. This is
Right.
a rich man's toy."
Oh, it was.
You know.
I am not going to pay $30,000 to have something steer for me. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
We got markers on the side. What else? I mean, what do I need?
Right.
But that now, I mean, find me someone that doesn't use auto track
Oh, wow.
of some kind.
Like the first time I had a guy refuse markers on a planter. I said, well, what if the auto steer isn't working? He's like, well, I'm not going to plant. I'm like, oh, we're in that world now. Okay, then.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's like we've opened Pandora's box and we have no idea what's in it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And we're going to see where this goes and what this looks like and when. So what do you think the next thing is? That
an AGCO robot. I think they're listening and they're like, God, he's got good ideas. I bet it's because he's an old Massey guy. I bet that's it.
I think it's a sprayer.
They call Germany factory. Get going, robots.
Yeah.
Green light. Absolutely sprayer.
Yeah. I think
no wheels at all.
No wheels at all.
I think the drone sprayer thing is going to get super hot.
That's a battery thing at that point. You got to start. I mean, it's a capacity thing.
I'm not talking about that level we have now. I mean, like a damn near Piper Cub wingspan size.
Oh no, I've seen those prototypes.
Yeah, almost like the military drones.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They're
But now you're starting to talk about capacity. Because you got to.
That's why it has to be that big, so you can at least have like a 300-gallon load in there.
Right, but now you're looking at something that's going to be. now you're going to be looking at something that is. You have to whatever you do, you have to lift it off the ground, so you have to fight gravity with that, and that requires a lot more resources.
What's 300 times 12?
300 times 12, 3,600.
That's what the fertilizer weighs.
Okay.
Plus your boom, plus your drone itself. So
here's the thing with that whole thing, though, is that you're looking at a spraying system that's not going to be like, you kind of have to erase your mind of the conventional spray idea where you're just going to float it down and it's just going to spray everything in the row. It's going to spot spray. It's not.
It'll have like the see and spray on a drone.
Right. And I think so. Maybe to some extent, but I think that's a lot further away than you think it is.
They got little ones now.
Oh, sure.
They're all over hell.
Yep. But something of capacity where you can go out and spray a 150-acre pivot and effectively take care of all that, or go out and spray a section field.
We went from 90 feet planters to 120 feet planters way faster than we ever made any other 30-foot jump, for sure.
Oh, sure. No,
because that's the world we're in now, man.
Right, but what was driving that?
The Pioneer Hybrid International's planting window. That's exactly what it was.
Machines got bigger, more powerful, and wider and everything else, and got faster because of labor. You get more done with one person.
I know.
If you have a 620 horsepower tractor with 120-foot planter.
Exactly. Plus
10 miles an hour.
Farms are bigger, blah, blah, blah. But that...
There's a reason why they make 20-foot wide high-speed discs.
Right.
And the concept of...
Because it takes an 8-hour to pull it.
Well, but the concept behind that was like, okay, cool. When high-speed planning came out, the overwhelming majority of the people introducing that were like, okay, cool. So if you can go twice as fast, I was one of them. I thought we'd have less row units.
Smaller planters.
Right? You're going to go from...
you got guys getting bigger than they were and high speed.
And high speed. So you had a guy that had
24-hour planter. I like to plant for a week.
A 24-hour planter going 4 mile an hour or 5 mile an hour. To a guy now that's got a 24-hour planter doing the exact same thing. The idea behind that was like, okay, we're going to see less 24-hour planters. We're going to see more 16 and 12s.
Right.
Right? Because if I can do... My cost of operation is going to go down. Right? Because it's going to take me... The hours that I put on my tractor and everything else are going to be the exact same amount because I'm going to go twice as fast when I plant with my 12-row planter and get the exact same amount done. right? I'm going to put the same amount of hours on my tractor. I'm going to go faster, get it done, boom.
That's what happens when you're a man of logic.
Well, I really thought that we would see 24 go into 16. I didn't really think we'd see 12. I never really thought that. But you're right. There were a lot of guys who are like, well, hell, I can get a 36 row and do even faster. I can still, I still got enough horsepower with the tractor that I got because God knows I was only pulling it at about 50% capacity to start with.
As long as his tractor's new enough, it was dual pump to begin with. Otherwise, True. that's where the show ends.
Right.
That's what happened to a lot of guys. I'll just get that 24. We'll stay 24 and get that high speed. Right. We'll knock that out in no time. That'll be great. Or, like a lot of guys, the exactness of it is the preciseness, right. Regardless of brand. But
right. Yeah, because speed's like the 5th most important thing now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And but that's why even the guys that go 6.5, 7, mm-hmm. they just want it perfect.
Right.
Everybody wants that planter.
Right.
Not everybody, but huge every year more and more and more.
Sure. Yeah.
But it takes the right tractor to run that thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that, like a 360 on a 24 row all day. Do what you want.
Yep.
Put that on high speed. Ooh, we're out of oil.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then you got your independent row, you got your row cleaners, it's you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of like a fertilizer caddy in the middle, you need like a hydraulic pull between hydraulic reservoir.
Yeah.
Have at her.
Yeah. So this technology thing that we're seeing happen now, all of it is driven by two things. One is labor. I mean, that's a pretty easy one to point to. But also all this other two, this fine tuning of the row and how much material you're putting in this spot, the other
right.
spot. You're trying to grow, whatever the number is. 50% more on every acre than we've done every, by the time
right.
it's 2050 or 30 or whatever this number is that we're
2050,
yeah. Trying to get all these things together, but it's also it's more expensive, and it's this, that, and the other thing. But at the same time, your efficiencies are starting to go up,
right?
So it's just, it's kind of like a chicken and the egg thing,
Oh yeah.
Which one is the catalyst for your
right
for your decision making process? Because when the high speed planter came out, it wasn't that technology. When it came out, it wasn't. Hey, it goes 10 miles an hour. Oh, hey, this disc goes. You can pull it 10 miles an hour.
Right. Everything's 10 miles an hour.
Now, that was when we were selling those. That was like, dude, it goes 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was the biggest feature.
Right. Now it's like, it goes 10 miles an hour, but emergence and singulation and all these other things that are coming to play. I mean, like that stuff is so much more important now than this is over here. Kind of lo and behold, boom. Yeah, it's like.
But I will say this: I'm going to stick up for my old school brethren out there.
Yeah.
You can grow 300 bushel corn with a 4430 and a finger pickup planter.
Sure.
There you go.
You have enough inputs.
Huh?
You have enough inputs.
The planter, the inputs are the same, dude.
No, I'm saying if you have enough inputs and you have enough organic matter and all those things are right there. I mean, sure. Anybody can. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The Exactamerge, the speed tube, whatever it is out there, that's gotta hit 300. Gotta hit 300. Gotta hit 300. Well, Johnny and his 4430 and 7100, he can hit 300 too. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we are machinery people. That's why we're here. Mm-hmm. We're not moving agronomy. We're moving iron. Thank God. Thank God. I would not be here.
There'd be a lot of sleeping in the middle of this show.
Oh, man. Yeah, you'd hear me snoring. But the iron isn't why that happens. Why we get to 300. It's not.
See, technology.
Right. There's so much to it. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Biologics.
Yes. Yeah. Is that like biology?
I'll just say bacteria. That's all I really need to say. So.
Micronutrients. That's the buzz, man.
Yeah. It's buzzword of the year. So.
I need some more boron in that section over there.
All right, I feel like it's a pretty good place to jump off. I think we covered it pretty well. I'm excited to see what the future looks like.
You definitely won the argument this evening because I kind of threw in the towel before we got going. So,
so I won by what's that say? By
technology forfeit.
By 4 foot. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, Aaron, folks want to reach out to you and get more information about what it is you got going on. What's the best place to do that?
Call me, text me, 308-760-1193. That's pretty much. I'm still locked out of Twitter.
Still locked out of Twitter.
Yeah, I'm still locked out of Twitter. It's not because I misbehaved. I got a new phone, and I don't know my password, and I don't have the old email, and here we are.
It's a whole thing at that point.
It is.
Yeah.
It becomes, oh, man.
Call Jack Dorsey up real quick. I know he's retired. He's only CEO, but maybe. So, all right. Well, I'm Casey Seymour. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MovingIronLLC.com. Also go to MovingIronLLC.com for all the latest information about Moving Iron stuff, as well as the Moving Iron Summit coming up in Nashville, Tennessee, September 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Hilton downtown Nashville. So if you want to check that out, send me an email at MovingIronPodcast at MovingIronPodcast.com. And we will get you signed up. I should have all the information up about that here, hopefully this weekend, and we can get that underway. So with that, I am Casey Seymour with Aaron Fennell. Let's go some iron, folks. Out. You want to have a meaningful competitive advantage to help sell more equipment. Whether you represent the sales, parts, or management department of an implement dealership, there's a surprising amount of complexity when it comes to tire, wheel, and track technology. Let Axon worry about that so you can get back to supporting your customers. Axon has leveraged years of experience to create a streamlined process that gives you a proven path to help today's grower and sell more equipment. The roots of their organization go back almost 100 years to the invention of the rubber tractor tire. Supporting agriculture is the number one driver of Axon, from product development through sales and service. To find more or become an Axon dealer, head over to axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley has over 33 years in the trucking business, moving ag and construction equipment across the country. For more information, go to valleytransinc.com or give Parker a call at 800-657-4910. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving iron.